So today we are going to talk about three things in Unit 2, okay, of semantics. Three ideas, three, you may call them entities, you may call them terms in semantics that we are going to learn, and we are going to differentiate through practice. These are sentences, utterances, and propositions, okay. Uh, the most common of these three are the sentences. Okay. Um, you know what are sentences. Now, what do you think? Just leave proposition for some time. Get to your chat box and just write down the difference between sentences and utterances. What is your idea? And for this, I'm giving you 2 minutes because I told you that these sessions are on recording, so we cannot give a pause. The silence does not sound good in the recording. So just go to your chat boxes and write down whatever difference you think there is between a sentence or an utterance, because these are, closer concepts, sentences and utterances. Um, you have come across them before, and okay. My question is, I don't know why my mic gets off without my permission. Anyway, um, so that's nice. That's nice. Most of you know that the difference between sentence and utterance. That's really wonderful. But what I'm trying to tell you more is that utterances, since we have said that they are part of the spoken communication, so utterances always have a context. Okay. Having said that, that means that there can be existence of sentences without context, right? What example comes to your mind when I say that sentences can be without context? Okay, how can sentences be without context? Just go to your chat boxes and tell me how the sentences can be sometimes without context. Yes, Marine, you are right. You are right about sentence and utterance difference. I hope my second question is audible. The second question for discussion is audible to you. I'm just putting it in the chat also. Can there be sentences without context? Okay, yes, Hafsa, how? What example comes to your mind when I say that, there can be sentences? Utterances always have a context, okay? But there can be sentences without a context. How? Okay, Ramin, both have the context, okay? I'm going, it, uh, it seems to have a context. Not exactly. Okay, fine, fine. I give you an example. We have learned grammar because English happens to be our second language. So we actually started learning a language with learning of its grammar. If you recall your school days or your, college days while you were learning English grammar, you learned it through segregated sentences. Okay, there were like 10 sentences that you were required to change into indirect speech, or there were 10 sentences which you were asked to convert to active passive voice. Remember that, right? So those were sentences because they did not have a context, they were just standing alone and they were practice sentences, right? Sentences are meaningful, sentences are complete, sentences are meaningful, but if we compare them with utterances, there can be instances where sentences do not have a context. Okay, and the example, simplest of the example that I'm giving you are the books of grammar through which you learn English, right? So you come across sentences like 10 sentences, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 sentences that you are asked to convert from direct to indirect, active to passive, all of that. Okay, uh, just for the practicing of grammar, right? um, so but when we talk about utterances give you complete meaning, right? They can consist of just a word, okay? They always have a context, and then they are part of the event. By event, we mean that they are uttered at a particular time, and they are ephemeral, they are temporary. As soon as you have uttered something or an utterance has been made, it's over. Okay, it becomes a part of the event, it is over, right? Which is not the case with the sentence. Okay, as we will practice the concept, the difference between sentence and the utterance will be clearer, right? You don't need to worry about that. But what you need to remember is that sentence and utterance are just not one. These are two different concepts in semantics and in linguistics, right? And in other words, sentences are said to be linguistic entity, whereas utterance is an action. Okay. Um, by linguistic entity, we mean that a sentence is a combination of words, right? And when we say that utterances are action, that means they are meaningful, and they do something. They have a role in the conversation, right? So I hope till this point it is clear the difference between sentence and utterance, right? You may raise your hands if it is clear to you.
Ma'am, your screen is not visible.
Beta, my voice should be audible. The screen isn't a problem. You have your own books. Take out your own books. You may take out your own books. That's okay. And I've told you that we are on Unit 2 sentences, utterances, and propositions, page number 60. It's okay. If the screen is visible, that's fine. If the screen is not visible, that's okay. Okay. I should be audible. You cannot get my voice otherwise. Um, right. So it is clear to Hafsa and it is clear to Atika, uh, Shamima, and Muska and Wafa. No, Wafa hasn't raised her hand. Right. Fine. Okay. So Ikra, Manur, that's nice. Bibi Farmina, Mariam, Manur, Fazila. Right. It is clear. Okay. Nice. So it is clear to most of the people. So we can move forward, right? And it is clear to Marine also. That's nice. Okay, now get back to your books, and here we are going to practice something. Now, just for example, if you read the sentence, virtue is its own reward, right? If you read it twice, it makes two utterances, one sentence. Okay, just focus on this. Just pay attention here. Virtue is its own reward. I spoke it once. I'm reading it again. Virtue is its own reward. Now, this is one sentence which is uttered twice. That means two utterances, right? And one sentence. Okay. You know, if you want someone to wait, and you are repeatedly saying, "Hold on, hold on, hold on," right? So these are three utterances. Okay, the number of times that you say it, as I told you that utterance is ephemeral. Ephemeral means it is temporary. It has a meaning in a conversation when it has a context at that particular time for that particular place. Okay, so this read twice makes two utterances, but it's just the same sentence. Okay, therefore utterance is a unique physical event that takes place, right? Now, let's talk about the definition. What can be the length of an utterance? The utterance can be as short as a phrase, or it can have it can be extended to any stretch of talk. It has to be by one person, before and after which there is a silence on the part of that person, right? Now, when I am speaking, my utterance begins, okay? And then it goes on till I stop, and it is the turn of another person, right? So, lecture is no good example for an utterance when it is in the first place online, and when the teacher is speaking all the time. But just imagine, or suppose, a conversation that is taking place between you and your friend, or you and your sibling. So in such a conversation, one person's utterance stops at the point when it is the time of turn taking and the other person starts speaking. Okay, the two utterances can be separated by a pause or a silence, depending on the kind of conversation. Okay. When there is a heated argument going on, there can be overlaps in the utterances when you are not giving the other person a chance to speak and the other person is trying their best to speak. So there would be an overlapping and no silence in between or no pause. But there would be more than one utterance. So one utterance belongs to one person till the other interlocutor or the other participant of the conversation starts speaking. Okay, when he stops and you start speaking, that means two utterances have completed and the third is your turn or someone else's turn, like that. Okay, so basically it's a unique physical event that takes place, and the stretch of utterance can be from one phrase, from hello, just saying hi, to any stretch, the complete talk. It can be a complete talk also, but it has to be by one person, and it has to have an end through a pause, through a silence. There can be situation of overlap. Okay, I hope the idea of utterance is clear, right? So it has to be used by a particular speaker, particular occasion, piece of language, and an utterance can consist of several sentences. Okay, so sentence can be a part of an utterance, right? It can be a phrase, it can be a sentence, it can be a word. Okay, because the stretch of an utterance varies from a word to a complete talk. Okay, I hope this is clear, and we are moving towards a practice. Okay, now quickly in point 0.5 minutes, just raise your hands and tell me, is the concept of utterance clear to you? Quickly raise your hands. Nice. That's nice. Okay. Smart. You are smarter when you are online. If I recall my classes with you, okay, you were good at that time also. I wouldn't say that you were not, but you are smarter now. Nice. Okay, let's carry on. Now, we are on page number 16, and this happens to be the exercise that we are going to do. Now, decide whether the present utterances. Indicate your answer by circling yes or no, right? Utterance, one word utterance, gives a complete meaning because it's it's a you know so not much seems to be a reply question. What's happening? Is there a problem? Just hold on. Why my voice is not audible? Is my voice audible?
Yes, ma'am.
To some it is audible, but
Yes,
I don't
ma'am.
know. Okay, fine. Guys, my mic is on. It
Yes,
gets
ma'am.
off sometimes, but okay, it's lagging. Uh, I don't know. I don't have an idea because my net is fine, I guess. Maybe it can be, problem at my end also and at your end also. But I hope the recording would be clear and you can get back to this whatever we are doing, right? Okay, getting back to the exercise.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I hope the recording goes well. Okay, not much is an utterance, right? Because it seems to be a part of an event, of a conversation where you are being asked some question. For example, how much money do you have? You say not much. So that's also an utterance. Utterance may consist of a single word, a simple phrase, or a single sentence. This is we have done. They may also consist of sequence of sentences. It is not unusual to find utterances that consist of one or more grammatically incomplete sentence fragments, right? This is the difference. Utterances can be incomplete. Utterances sometimes can be grammatically incorrect. Okay, in fluency sometimes we do not take care of the grammar, right? So those are the instances where utterances can be fragmented, but sentences can never be fragmented. Sentences are always complete linguistic entities, because sentences are not actions, utterances are actions. So there is no simple relation corresponding between utterance and sentence, right? Which happens to be true. Okay, now look at this one. You know, one thing that we begin with, that sentences and utterances, they are meaningful, both of them. That's the similarity between the two. They are meaningful. Okay, for instance, not much. You don't get the complete context, but you have an idea that this perhaps is an answer of the question. So that makes sense. But if you look at 4 and 5, um, they don't give any sense. So these are not utterances. Okay. So these are not utterances because these are not part of English language, right? I hope the practice is clear. Now, as I told you that utterances are physical events, they are part of spoken language. They are part of a conversation, the actual conversation which is going on. Okay, they are part of that event, and by event here we mean the whole conversation on a particular topic, with participants, with the context, with their participation, with their turn taking, all of that, right? Now events are ephemeral. Ephemeral means they are temporary, and as soon as you utter, you say hello, it's over. It's not recorded anywhere. So when a word or a phrase or whatever utterance is made, it is temporary. It goes with the wind. Okay. So linguistics deal with spoken language, and we will have a lot to say about utterances whenever we are talking about context, conversation, interaction. We talk about utterances more of the time and less about sentences. Okay. So I hope till now, whatever we have done to understand utterance, it is clear, and we have done it through practice also. Now we are moving towards what is a sentence. Okay. Now sentence is not part of the physical event, and it's not a physical object. It is abstract, and as you most of you have defined it also, a string of words that are put together. Grammar rules are important to make a sentence, and a sentence can be thought of an ideal string of words behind various realization and utterances and inscriptions. So sentence has to be grammatically correct. Okay, whatever idea is being presented, an idea, okay, which we would later call proposition, can be put in a number of sentences. I mean, in a number of sentences, in number of ways, through different sentences. Okay, an idea can be put one idea by using several sentences. Okay, it can be any idea. If I ask you, um, how does your day pass during these Ramzan? Okay, or what do you do throughout the day in your Ramzan? Now the question is the same. I am asking about the activities, right? The idea is the same. Okay, so if I ask you today, you will tell me about your activities in different sentences. The probability is that tomorrow also the routine would stay the same, but you would use different sentences or the arrangement would be different. Okay, so one idea can be presented by using several sentences in several ways. Let's put it this way. And the simplest of the example, ye to phir, I was talking about maybe your routine gets changed in today and tomorrow or yesterday. You had a different routine. But the simplest of the example that I would give you is of active and passive. The idea is the same, but you put it in two ways. Okay, the idea does not change, and if the idea changes, then there is some error in the conversion of active to passive. Similar is the case with direct indirect. Okay, the idea is the same, you put it in two different ways, and both of those are grammatically correct. Direct speech is also correct, indirect speech is also correct, but what I'm trying to tell you is that the idea is one. The combination of words can be different. Okay, and then moreover, sentences and utterances, I've told you the difference between those. Just keep that in mind. And now we are moving towards whether to decipher and to decide whether these are sentences or not. Some example will help you to get the idea of a sentence across. Indicate your answer by circling yes or no. So we need to check if these are the sentences or not. And what are we going to do is we're going to see if they are complete and they give a complete sense, right? Okay. So for this, before that, please raise your hands if this concept is clear so that we can move to the practice. By the way, you can do the practice in 1 minute and I'll get back to you. Okay. Just do the practice, and when you're done with this practice, I'm giving you 1 minute for this, and then you can raise your hands. We'll do it together anyway. Okay. We'll do it together. Just try to do six of these, solve it, and then raise your hands so that I know that you are done. And we'll do it together also. Atika, Sumaya, Mahanur, are you done or you have just raised your hands for the previous activity? Okay. Mukaddas beta, I've told you that the screen is not the issue. Just take out your books. Just take out your books and quickly do that, and then we move forward. Okay, so how many people are done? 13 people have done out of 70. Okay, okay. Shamina, I got your reply. 19 people are done. Okay, let's do it together because again, uh, it's the recording is going on, so we cannot wait for long. Okay, do all authentic performances of Macbeth begin by using the same sentence? I'm not really sure how many of you have read Macbeth. That's a play by Shakespeare. Um, and the starting lines are: do all authentic performances of Macbeth begin by using the same sentence? Because, the popular sentence with which Macbeth starts is, fair is foul and foul is fair, hover through the fog and fill the air, right? So, do all authentic performances of Macbeth begin by using the same sentence? Yes, because this is how uh, Shakespeare has written it. Do all authentic performances of Macbeth begin with the same utterance? No. And why is that? Because the role of Macbeth has been played by several actors, not just one. Okay, um, it was performed at the stage also, and then there was a movie Macbeth, and this movie has been made several times. There were different people who played the role of Macbeth. So the same sentence, they will start it with fair and foul is fair, hover through the fog and fill the air. The sentence remains the same because that has to be the opening of Macbeth. But the performance begins with different utterances. Okay? Every play of Macbeth will begin with different utterances, but the same sentence. Now, is this concept clear through the play of Macbeth? Raise your hands if this concept is clear. Right. Nice. So your mind works more after iftar when your tummy is full. There's a close relation between food and thought. Food for thought. Food for thought is a different thing, by the way. Anyway, I'm impressed. This is the right time for the class, girls. Okay, nice. So this one is yes and this one is no. All right. Does it make sense to talk of the time and place of the sentence? No. Sentences are not time and place dependent. Okay. They can even stand alone. They don't need, they can be part of an utterance, then of course, but they don't need this time and place. Utterances need time, place, people, context. Okay, does it make sense to talk of time and place of an utterance? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Someone is really excited about it. Can one talk about of loud sentences? No, right? Because sentences are not part of the conversation. Can one talk of slow utterances? Yes. People can utter the same sentence in a number of ways. They can utter them loudly, they can utter them softly, they can utter them quickly, they can utter them slowly. Okay. So the physical quality of saying a sentence is the utterance. Okay. Only utterance can have these qualities. Right? Okay, let's move forward. So, in semantics, we need to make a careful distinction between utterances and sentences. And I hope that I have successfully, and we have successfully differentiated between the two, sentences and utterances. So, this is a very easy exercise because, utterances we would take as something is spoken and sentences as something written. So it says that, whatever is put in inverted commas is an utterance, and whatever is italicized and without commas is a sentence. Okay. Simpler examples are given. Help represent an utterance, of course, right? If someone says help and he doesn't say anything else, it's a complete utterance. It has a complete meaning. It is an action or demanding an action. It would bring a change with just saying it. Okay. So this one is, in the inverted commas also, or the speech marks. The second one, the steeples have been struck by lightning, represents a sentence. Yes. Now, this, see the difference. This comes in inverted commas. The steeples have been struck by lightning. Someone is saying it. This represents an utterance. John represents a word conceived as a part of sentence. Okay. Now let's get to the practice. For each of the following label is as the utterance or sentence as appropriate by circling your choice. Guys, without looking at the answers, because the drawback, or maybe sometimes that's an advantage also, the feedback, the key is given. So I request you to do it on your own, not to see the answers, and later on we will discuss. Because if you get these in the exams, I would always ask you for a reason. Okay, it's just not true, false, yes, no, but I will be looking for the reasons. You should first understand it and then do the exercise. So for this practice, I'm giving you like how many minutes? 2 minutes. Quickly do this. For each of the following labels, you just have to decide whether it's an utterance or it's a sentence. Okay. And then I'll ask you, what's the reason? Quickly. And raise your hands as soon as you do it. Please raise your hands so that we can move forward. Are these hands raised for this activity, or I don't know, for the previous one? Anyway, that's good to see. 8 hands are raised. 10. Out of 70, please, guys, you are 70 people here. Okay. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, now let's do it together. Okay, the train now arriving at platform 1 is the 11.15 from King's Cross. It is an utterance because it is being said by someone, and how do we know that? There are speech marks. That's easy, okay? The author, or the one who has designed this practice for you, has made it easier. And this one, Pelican ignores the linguist, that's a sentence. Italicized bhi hai, or it is not being said by anyone. It is just a piece of information. Okay. But there are speech marks in the first one. So the first one happens to be the utterance, and the second one is the sentence. Okay. I hope everyone is following. Given our conversation, say, what is wrong with the following? John announced Mary is here, in his quickest voice. Now, uh, this is a direct speech. Which one? Here. Mary is here. Mary is here. This should be in the speech marks, right? John announced Mary is here in his quickest voice. So what's wrong? The speech marks are missing, right? Mary thought how nice John was. This is an indirect speech, right? Um, it does not require any speech marks as it is given here. And it should not be, italicized also. Here. You can remove, see, you can remove these quotation marks because it's a thought. She's not saying it, right? So you don't need any quotation marks here, because when you think, you don't say. I hope it is clear. This is saying, because he has announced. And here, Mary has thought, right? So it does not require any speech mark. This requires this speech mark. Mary is here. John has announced it. But what Mary is thinking, there we do not require any speech mark. You can, convert the whole of it to italics. There isn't a problem, right? Now, getting to the rules, we have defined a sentence as string of words. We have done this. A given sentence always consists of the same words and in the same order. Any change in the words or in their orders makes a different sentence for our purpose. Okay? One idea, different sentences. For instance, Helen rolled up the carpet. Helen rolled the carpet up. The action is saying, the action is same. Okay? The carpet is being rolled, but the sentences are different, right? Sincerity may frighten the boy. Sincerity may frighten the boy. Same sentence. Oh my god. Who has this cough? Sitwat Ismail, please switch off your mic. Yeah, thank you. Someone is hammering at their home. What are you hammering? Nails? Okay, so we were here. You can see that the sentences are similar. Here, the idea is same, but the sentences are two. Okay, the idea is just the same, which is called as proposition, and we would move to those. Now, utterance has an accent. This is another difference. I forgot to tell you. Utterance has an accent. If I ask two girls to read the same sentence and they read it with two different accents, that is two utterances, right? So utterance can be um, can have accents. Sentences uh, do not have accents, because you read the sentence, they are something that is not part of the conversation. They can be in the writing form also. So we don't associate sentences with um, accents. Okay, accents and voice quality belong strictly to the utterance, not to the sentence. As I told you that utterance can be loud, sentences do not have these qualities. Utterance can be soft. We cannot say that the sentence can be soft. Okay. Um, Someone can utter quickly, someone can utter softly, someone can be loud. These are all physical qualities of the utterance, not the sentence. And utterance have the accents, and sentences do not have the accents. Okay. So let's quickly do this. You would not understand it because these are not written in Angrezi. So we just would do the first one. Does it make sense to ask what language sentence belong to? Of course, that's okay. Sentence has to belong to a certain language, right? Um, on the contrary, you know, um, sentences sometimes do not belong to a language. For instance, any sound of excitement is an utterance, right? And it does not necessarily belong to any language. That's just your expression. That might not be a part of the dictionary. Okay. For instance, when you get surprised, when you get shocked. So whatever sound you utter at that time, that might not be a part of any language. Okay. Hurra is an example. Hurra is a part of Angrezi, but there can be so many sounds and so many expressions so many part of uh, association of utterance to your body language. Sometimes they are not part of any of the language, but the sentence has to belong to a language, right? So we do not know about these. So the answer sheet tells you that this is French and German. Otherwise, we don't have much idea about these. So all utterances, not all utterances are actually part of the sentences, but sometimes only of parts of sentence. They can be phrases or single words. That's just the repetition. Okay, utterances are not sometimes, or maybe many times, they're not the complete sentences. But a sentence has to be grammatically complete string of words and has to have complete thought. It should have a complete thought within a sentence. Now, sometimes, we do not. Um, when we are not student of linguistics, of course, the utterance and sentence become similar to us, but these are not. Okay. So it is intended to exclude any string of words that does not have a verb in it, all as well as other strings. The idea is best shown by examples. Let's see some examples and then we move forward. I would like a cup of coffee. It's complete. Okay. Coffee, please. It's not a sentence. In the kitchen is not a sentence. Please put it in the kitchen is a sentence. We have, done this difference that a sentence has to be complete grammatically also, in terms of its meaning also, but utterance does not require that. Okay. Now, very quickly, we are just differentiating between sentence and which are not a sentence. John is not a sentence. Okay. Where, who is there? It's a complete sentence. Mine is not a sentence. And when we say that it's not a sentence, it is an utterance. Okay. It's mine. It's a sentence. Where shall I dot dot dot? I mean, the speaker is unable to complete it. Therefore, it is not a sentence. Okay. Utterances of non-sentence, short phrases, or single words used by people in communication all the time. People do not converse wholly in tokens of well-formed sentences, right? When we are learning Angrezi in our school and in our undergrad classes, you would remember that the teacher asks you to answer the question with yes and no, put a comma, and then copy from the sentence, from the question, sorry. Okay. And the simplest of the example is that when we are taught how are you, so we are told that the answer is I am fine. But what happens in actual conversation when someone asks us how we are, we just say fine. Okay. Seldom, very seldom it happens that we would go for the complete sentence. And I'm just not talking about Angrezi, it is true for any language. Okay. In Urdu also. Aapka kya haal hai? You just say theek. Ya alhamdulillah. Yeah, whatever you want to say, but you never say the complete sentence. Okay. So and it is not necessary for an utterance to be in the complete sentence majority of the times. Okay. And it gives meaning. Now this exercise is very very easy. Given below are some sample conversations. In each case the second utterance is not a token of sentence, right? These are actual conversation in the sense that this is how people answer. Okay. But the activity requires you to give a complete answer, which you can do easily. uh, when did goat died? You only give the year. Would you like tea or coffee? Coffee, please. Okay. So this seems to be a real conversation or real event. Who won the Battle of Waterloo? Wellington. right? You can complete these sentences. I hope this would be clear. We can move forward. um, Semantics is concerned with meaning of non-sentence. That is, semantics is more concerned with utterances, like phrases, incomplete sentences, and sometimes with the sentences also. But we are going to start the analysis with whole sentences, and we are moving towards the concept of proposition. ठीक है, हमने कर ली sentences, and then we are done with utterances. We have talked about the difference between sentences, utterances, non sentences, real time conversation, all of that. Okay. Now we are moving towards the third concept for today, which is proposition. Proposition, basically, the this word refers to an idea. Okay. Proposition is an idea, basically. And this is a central notion to semantics, right? Now let's see what is a proposition. A proposition is that part of the meaning of the utterance of a declarative sentence which describes some state of affair. By some state of affair, just to understand in simple word, it is some kind of an idea. Okay. A state of affair involves people or thing referred to by expression in the sentence and the situation or action they are involved in. In uttering a declarative sentence, the speaker typically asserts a proposition. Now, every conversation is based on certain proposition that involves persons, their expressions, things, situations, all of that. Okay? Every conversation has a topic on which speakers speak, and all the speakers should share one language and should be focusing on the proposition that is under discussion, the topic, theme, whatever. Okay. So, um, a proposition is an idea, right? And this idea is presented through a conversation. A conversation consists of utterances, and this conversation has people, this conversation has things to refer to, this conversation has a situation, all of that. So basically, proposition is the idea, topic, or the theme of conversational event, which will be completed through utterances of the participants within a particular situation having a particular context, right? I hope the idea of proposition is clear. Okay. Just do not get confused with the, you know, uh, declarative sentences. We will also talk about proposition through other kind of sentences. Okay. But for now, just raise your hands. Is the idea of proposition clear to you? Just raise your hands. Okay, I hope these are newer hands and not the ones for the previous question. That's fine. 13 people, okay, they know the idea. Okay, Mahnur has understood. Hafsa, who else? Hafsa Rashid, Sharmeen, Atika, and Khatima. Nice. When Khatima Pashtun understands me, I really feel proud of my teaching then. And when she understands, it means the rest of you should also understand, okay? Just that was on a light note, okay? Do not mind that, okay? So, uh, this idea of proposition is clear. Uh, okay, let's very quickly do this. Um, the notion of truth can be used to decide whether two sentences express different propositions. Thus, if there is any conceivable set of circumstances in which one sentence is true while the other is false, we can be sure that they express different propositions. It is almost the same, an idea by two different sentences, right? So, if the idea is similar in two sentences, they are presenting one proposition, right? So if one is true, the other sentence would be true for that particular situation. Okay. So one idea, one proposition can have two sentences, and two propositions can have two sentences. Two ideas presented in two sentences. One idea presented in two sentences or utterances, right? So we'll move to the examples and the things would be clear to you. Now consider the following pair of sentences. In each case, say whether they are any circumstances of which one member of the pair could be true and the other false, assuming in each case that the same name Harry refers to the same person, right? So what we are supposed to do is we have to see whether they are referring to the same proposition, whether there are any circumstances of which one member of the pair could be true and the other false. We'll see if one is true, the other has to be true, or if one is true, other is false, and then we will discuss that also. Now, for instance, let me see if someone is saying something. Okay, just hold on, hold on. Okay, Ikra Salim is unable to understand. Okay, that's nice. Fatima, do not take my comment seriously. I hope you understand that. That's nice. Uh, okay, Krasalim, I can repeat that. Okay, I can repeat that. No worries. Let's do some of the examples. Maybe while discussing the example, your problem is sorted, right? So we have to see which one, if it's a combination of one truth or the other false. What is this? Harry took out the garbage. Harry took the garbage out. Now this is one proposition. If this is true, the other would also be true, right? So this is not a combination of one true, other false, right? What you are supposed to do, whether there are any circumstances of which one member of the pair could be true and the other false. So these are, both of them would either be true together or false together. Harry took out the garbage. Harry took the garbage out. This is one proposition. Either both are true or both are false. It cannot be that one is true and the other is false. Okay. Next example, it would be clear. John gave Mary a book. Mary was given a book by John. Right. Now, and this also, it means just the same. So both are either true or both are either false. It is not that one is true or one is false. Now the exercise is finding out if one is true, the other is false. Okay? Then you can say yes. If both are similar, if both present one proposition, then you would say no. Okay? The question is that these pairs should present two propositions. The third one, would clarify this. Isabel loves Tony. Tony loves Isabel. Now, these are two different ideas. Isabel loves Tony does not tell us that Tony also loves Isabel. Okay, so Tony loves Isabel. Now, this second pair does not tell us whether Isabel also loves Tony, right? These are two different people. Okay, so one can be true, the other can be false, right? So the third one, in this third one, we get a pair where one can be true, other can be false. It is not that अगर ये true है तो ये भी true होगा. और अगर ये फॉल्स है तो ये भी फॉल्स होगा. जैसे इसमें है ना, दिस वन इज either true or false, the pair would get or go together. False हो या true हो, both are together. ठीक है. But this is not the case. एक और, George danced with Ethel. George didn't dance with Ethel. Now these are opposite. One is true, the other is false, or one is false, the other is true. So here also we will mark yes. Okay. Dr. Finlay killed Janet. That is, Dr. Finlay murdered Janet. And in the other pair, Dr. Finlay caused Janet to die. Okay. He was the reason for the death. He might be the reason for the death, but he did not kill Janet directly. They don't mean the same. They don't, uh, present the same proposition. I hope you are getting it. There is a difference. Dr. Findlay killed Janet. That is, he murdered. He's directly involved in the killing of Janet. But here, Dr. Findlay caused Janet to die. He is not directly involved here. He put her in a situation where she died. She hired someone to kill Janet. Whatever, we do not know. But one is true, the other is false. Okay. So here also you will have a yes for the fifth one, right? I hope this is clear. Now, the rest of the exercises are related to proposition, okay? And I would like you to do this on your own. And tomorrow, we will first discuss these. We'll complete this chapter and then we might move forward to unit 3. I also expect you to, do the exercise at the end of the unit, right? So I'm giving you a lot of work for today. Now, as far as tomorrow is concerned, I have a meeting again and I'll confirm the time with your CR, right? I'll tell her the time maybe late um, evening today or maybe tomorrow morning, but I'll just let you know whatever the situation is and whatever the schedule might be. And this recording will be available to you by tomorrow morning. Okay.